Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. National Security Minister signs MOU in a bid to clamp down on the illicit gun and drugs trade. Children's advocate worried about the number of murders and other crimes against children. And later in sports, reggae boys to face Uruguay in rescheduled international friendly in July. I'm O'Shane Masters and here are the details. The Ministry of National Security has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with CCOP5 as part of efforts to clamp down on the illicit gun and drug trade and associated criminal networks targeting Jamaica, as Sandy Williams reports.
The illegal trafficking of guns and drugs is a global challenge which has a devastating impact on national security, social and economic development, as well as on public health. With the bulk of illicit goods being transported by sea, adequate control at the ports is critical. According to Ambassador of the European Union, Her Excellency Marian van Steen, Jamaica and the region at large faces many security threats.
This is indeed very worrying, as due to the size of the market, such trafficking undermines the legal economy, affects national assets, feeds corruption, and therefore weakens the rule of law, civil rights, good governance, and state institutions. We all do know the devastating impact this has on the social and economic fabric of every single society confronted with this, as well as on public health. And we also do know that many Caribbean states face significant economic challenges, which makes it all the more difficult to face up to these challenges.
It's why the National Security Ministry has joined forces with the fifth phase of CCOP. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson says the move is a multi-agency approach to deal with all areas of illicit trafficking through the island's ports.
We're looking forward to what benefits it can bring, and some of those are intelligence sharing, also actual on-the-ground operations on the ports, and lots of training opportunities for the people who are involved in this. So we see it as a very important part of strengthening our border protection issues.
CCOP 5, which is the final phase of the project, includes a more comprehensive scope of action, the development of new partnerships with local and regional actors, and the integration of several new countries into its target areas. Permanent Secretary in the Security Ministry, Courtney Williams, says the phase will zoom in on training to ensure sustainability in the region.
It will result in an increase in the frequency of mentoring to the Joint Maritime Control Unit vessel search teams to twice per annum, utilizing both trainers from the UK Border Force as well as the French Customs. The regional office of the CCOP project will also continue to conduct both regional and trans-regional workshops for officers within the intelligence units of our security forces, the JDF and the JCF.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
The Office of a Children's Advocate is worried by the number of murders and other crimes against children. The OCA is therefore looking to provide lawmakers with some guidelines in dealing with children victims or perpetrators and has called for collective action from the society.
For public bodies responsible for child care and protection, the number of crimes committed each year against children in Jamaica is troubling.
Over 3,000 children have been the victim of major crimes, and over 1,200 investigative leads, to include arrests and charges, have resulted from those numbers.
Despite those numbers, head of the Area 1 Police, ACP Clifford Chambers, believes the police are doing all they can in bringing perpetrators before the courts. But for children's advocate Diane Gordon Harrison, the fact that so many offenses are being committed is the real problem.
We are at a stage where we have to recognize that we have to take things into hand as a country, as a society. It cannot be that persons feel comfortable staying on the sidelines and lamenting how bad things are.
It's part of the reason the Office of the Children's Advocate spearheaded Tuesday's seminar outlining guidelines on interacting with children who are victims or perpetrators of crimes. But Mrs. Gordon Harrison believes the effort needs to go further to include the society in general, as she believes every resident has a role to play.
And so my plea is that persons see themselves as an active part of the solution, who will not only give information, but will go the extra mile to see that that information connects and can be converted into good evidence to assist us in bringing persons who continue to hurt and kill our children to account.
In Western Jamaica, children have been the victims in a number of cases. Noting that persons have been arrested in over 52% of these crimes, ACP Chambers gave an update.
We have the sexual molestation of a 5-year-old in Western Negril. The accused has been arrested and charged. We have, a couple of days ago, the murder of a 3-year-old that was part of a double murder. As it is right now, 2 persons are in custody, and motor vehicle is presently seized, and our forensic expert have gone through it. We have the 9-year-old that was murdered, and from all indication that investigation is going extremely well.
The Jamaica Fire Brigade is lamenting the lack of capacity of firefighters to deal with cars which explode during road crashes. Details in this report. Since the start of the year, 141 people have lost their lives due to road crashes. This from 123 crashes to date. But while that is of concern for the Road Safety Council, the Jamaica Fire Brigade is facing another challenge. Firefighters do not possess the requisite knowledge in dealing with fires that emerge from hybrid vehicles. A number of them have burst into flames upon impact. Speaking to our news team recently, Commissioner of the Fire Brigade, Stuart Beckford, raised the concern.
Problem is that some of these vehicles are hybrid, and some of them are using liquid natural gas, LNG. And so on impact, these vehicles, in most instances, will burst into flames, trapping the occupants. And in these situations, there's very little that the fire brigade can do to rescue these persons, because by the time we get there, more often than not, the vehicle is fully engulfed.
And with government pushing to get more electronic vehicles into the island,
it is of concern to firefighters right across the globe. In Europe and North America, it's the same situation that they are treating with, because the experience in fighting these fires is not yet there. It's a new phenomenon, so to speak. And so what the information that we are getting is coming to us, not from a firefighter's experience, but from the manufacturer, giving us information as to how these vehicles are likely to react in a fire or an accident, and how it is we need to operate around them.
However, Mr. Beckford says some training have already begun with members of a fire brigade through a partnership with ATL Automotive. He says further training will be done this summer. While that is being done, he's imploring motorists to have a fire extinguisher in their vehicles and to drive within the speed limits.
We do encourage motorists to have in their vehicle a fire extinguisher. It is a requirement for taxis before they are licensed by the Transport Authority to have a fire extinguisher in their vehicle. We would want to encourage the general public to do likewise, because these equipment are very handy, especially in the incipient stage of a fire. So we are encouraging our motoring public to be cautious when they travel on the roads. Reduce your speed, because we have recognized from the data that we have been collecting, a lot of these accidents are as a result of speeding.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Senior advisor and strategist in the Tourism Ministry, Delana Silverwright, says the island's tourism sector will begin to see improved arrivals following the announcement that the U.S. is out of the pandemic phase. Chief Medical Advisor to U.S. President Joe Biden, Anthony Fauci, made the revelation today.
We absolutely welcome this news. The United States is our largest source market. The fact is that they have just above 2/3 or just around 2/3 of their population is vaccinated. Also, a significant number of their population, it is believed, has acquired natural immunity. So this is good news. The world is moving away from the travel restrictions. Jamaica, of course, did away with ours in recent days and weeks. And beyond that, many Caribbean countries, European countries, United Kingdom, and even Canada have moved away from the very stringent travel restrictions that existed before. Again, though, we'll continue to encourage the people of Jamaica to get vaccinated and to take the necessary precautions, especially for those who are at higher risk, to ensure that they take personal responsibility for their own health in this time as we continue to work through the COVID-19 issues that still exist.
The Health Ministry is spearheading a program aimed at promoting patients' rights and responsibilities at public health facilities. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says this will form part of the compassionate care system. He says the promotion will be in a number of areas where members of the public have complained about the long wait at public health facilities.
And essentially, that charter speaks to the rights of patients, because we do believe that they should be given their rights to express themselves where needed. But it also speaks to the responsibility that they have, patients and staff, that is. And that responsibility clearly does not include abusive behavior, threatening behavior. I think we're going to have to work to ensure that those standards are established and maintained.
Recent incident at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James, which led to a standoff between relatives of a patient and medical personnel, is a reflection of the violence being played out in society, which cannot be ignored.
So you have indiscipline out in the society. That indiscipline is brought into all our institutions, including our hospitals. And so you need the enforcement mechanism, the security, the electronic security, the personnel, and so on.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Link, Jamaica's first central bank digital currency wallet, has exceeded 100,000 subscribers. The announcement made this week signals a benchmark for the local digital currency Jamdex. CEO of Link, Vernon James, says more Jamaicans continue to buy into the concept of digital currency.
We've had, some success. And recently you'd have seen the BOJ, the government really launch an initiative for the first 100,000 customers to enroll for Jamdex to get a $2,500 bonus. That's not insignificant. It's a $250 million commitment from the government to get those that need the banking services, I would say the most, to onboard and enroll in the digital currency. So far, we have 1,300 micro merchants on our app, and we have some incentives for the app. But let me deal with the social.
Jamdex will be officially launched this quarter. A number of other financial institutions are expected to come on stream with their own digital currency wallets shortly. Boeing reported a wider adjusted quarterly loss and lower revenue than analysts expected as the company faced higher costs on both commercial and defense aircraft and the charges tied to the war in Ukraine. The manufacturer said it will pause production of its 777X plane, which has not yet been certified by U.S. regulators, through 2023, a plan that the company says will create $1.5 billion in abnormal costs starting in the second quarter. Boeing also doesn't expect deliveries of the plane to start until 2025. Boeing has enjoyed a resurgence in demand for its 737 MAX plane, which returned to service in late 2020 after 2 fatal crashes. But production problems and certification delays have hampered other aircraft programs. Time now for the top regional and international stories with Sandy Williams.
In the region, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, has called for a shift to an integrated macro approach to climate adaptation and mitigation resilience measures for the maritime sector in the Eastern Caribbean region. Head of the permanent delegation of the OECS in Geneva, Colin Murdoch, explained that simultaneous growth in globalization and cruise tourism has resulted in competition for berth space in many Caribbean ports. However, he noted that port infrastructure in the Caribbean has not always kept pace with changes in the global shipping industry. He says this has a direct impact on the region's ability to engender sustainability and resilience in maritime supply chains. On the international scene, health officials in Beijing have ordered more than 20 million people to get tested for coronavirus. The authorities say 46 new cases were reported Wednesday, and a section of the city has been isolated with no one allowed in or out. The Chinese capital is hoping to avoid the same fate as Shanghai, which has been under a relentless lockdown for more than a month. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
Thanks, Sandy. We head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have your midday sports report.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. The Reggae Boys will face Uruguay in a friendly international on June 11 at the Estadio Centenario in Montevideo. This fixture will follow Jamaica's home game against Mexico in League A of the CONCACAF Nations League on June 7. The Jamaicans have met the two-time World Cup winners on 5 occasions, which comprised 1 win and 4 losses. The last time both teams met was at the 2016 Copa America Centenario, where Uruguay blanked Jamaica 3-0. Jamaica's only win over Uruguay came in 2004, where Jamaica won 2-0 at the National Stadium. The Under-17 Reggae Girls will be looking for their 3rd straight win in the CONCACAF Women's Under-17 Championship as they face Canada in San Cristobal this evening. The Jamaicans opened their account in the tournament with a 7-0 triumph over Bermuda and a 3-1 win over the Dominican Republic. Canada and Jamaica both have 6 points, but Canada leads the group with a plus 15 goal difference, while Jamaica have a plus 9 goal difference. Kickoff is at 6 o'clock Jamaica time. If Jamaica tops the group, then they'll face Honduras in the round of 16, while if they finish second, they'll face Haiti or Cuba. Reggae Boys striker Mikel Antonio and West Ham United will host Eintracht Frankfurt in the first leg of the semi-finals of the UEFA Europa League at the London Stadium this afternoon. Kickoff is at 2 o'clock Jamaica time. In the other first-legged semi-final, another Reggae Boy in Kemar Roof and Rangers FC will face RB Leipzig away in Germany, also at 2 o'clock. A Jamaican international has never won the UEFA Europa League. In England, Manchester United will be looking to return to winning ways as they face Chelsea at Old Trafford this afternoon. United are 6th in the table on 54 points, while Chelsea are 3rd on 65. Kickoff is at 1:45 Jamaica time. Now, while Jamaica's Rugby Sevens team still celebrates their World Cup qualification, captain Ashane Eddy is reveling in another moment as he became the first player in the Americas region to reach 100 appearances in Rugby Sevens recently. The 31-year-old winger made his 100th appearance for Jamaica in their 24-5 win over Bermuda as the Crocs became Jamaica's first male sports team to qualify for 2 Senior World Cups. Eddy summed up the last 15 years representing Jamaica.
Wow, it's just, still can't believe it. Still can't believe that it's been 100 games that I've been playing for Jamaica. It feels like it's less. The tournaments, they just went behind of each other quickly. But considering that I've been playing for more than 20 years, it's a lot. It's a lot. Plus the journey hasn't been so smooth, but in terms of knowing that I have accomplished something, it's just great.
Veteran player Conan Osborne is the next Jamaican and player in the Americas region that could get to 100 appearances, as he's currently on 98 caps. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Ashane, it's over to you.
Thanks, Simon. Just before we go, the likely prospects of Jamaica winning against the Dominican Republic?
Well, they face the Canadians this evening in the Dominican Republic, but it's a tough ask for the Jamaicans, one of the best teams in the region in Canada at youth level. It will be a challenging game, but I do expect the Jamaicans to go out and do their best, but the Canadians should edge this on paper.
It's the same prediction as for Ronaldo.
Indeed.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.